So let's talk about a really high-stakes story. It's got everything: technology, global power, and a massive multi-billion-dollar bet on one single American company, USA Rare Earth. And trust me, this is way more than just a financial story. It's really about the fight for the future of our most important technologies.
Okay, so at the very heart of all this is a special class of materials called rare earth elements. Now, funny enough, they're not actually all that rare. But what they are is the secret ingredient, the one thing you can't substitute inside pretty much all of our most advanced tech. We're talking everything from the electric motors in an EV to the missile guidance systems in a fighter jet.
And that right there brings us to the real problem. It's basically a geopolitical time bomb. I mean, what happens when the entire supply of these absolutely vital materials is controlled by just one single powerful nation? Let's dive in and break that down.
To really get why there's such a huge gamble on USA Rare Earth, you first have to understand the crisis itself. You see, for decades now, one country has been quietly and methodically building a high-tech chokehold on the entire planet. And it's not just about digging stuff out of the ground. No, the real power is in the processing. That incredibly complex chemistry that turns raw ore into these super high-purity metals. And right now, China dominates up to 90% of this critical step. That gives them near total control over the finished product. You know, the ultra-powerful magnets our modern economies literally run on. And look, this isn't some theoretical what-if threat. China has already weaponized its supply before. Back in 2010, they cut off Japan completely. More recently, they announced a whole new set of pretty strict export controls. And the crucial part, those controls are scheduled to be fully in place by late 2026. That creates a ticking clock for the entire Western world, threatening everything from EV production to national defense. So, in response to this pretty scary crisis, an unlikely champion has stepped up. But here's the crazy part. If you just look at the paperwork, this company looks like a complete and utter financial disaster. I mean, this is literally how financial analysts were describing USA Rare Earth. The company just kept missing its financial targets, which, as you know, is usually a massive red flag for any investor. Just take a look at their bottom line for fiscal year 2025, a net loss of almost $300 million. They were just hemorrhaging cash. And the scale of their spending, it's just staggering. An operating margin of negative 3,600%, that shows you a company that is burning through truly colossal amounts of capital to build a domestic supply chain completely from scratch. Which, of course, brings us to the central mystery of this whole story. If the financials look this bad, why on earth does this company have a projected valuation of over $7 billion? And why are analysts suddenly calling it America's next national champion? Well, the answer is hidden in a really audacious strategy. So, how is this even possible? Well, USA Rare Earth isn't just digging holes in the ground. They are executing this incredibly meticulous three-step plan to create the West's first and only fully integrated mine-to-magnet supply chain. Here's how they pulled it off. First, they went out and acquired the Serra Verde mine in Brazil. That's the only scaled-up source of critical heavy rare earths outside of Asia. Period. Then, they bought a processing firm in the UK to handle all the complex metallurgy. And finally, they built a brand new, state-of-the-art magnet factory in Stillwater, Oklahoma. They literally control every single step of the process. Their whole strategy, the whole thing, hinges on heavy rare earths. We're talking specifically about dysprosium and terbium. And these aren't just, nice-to-haves. They are absolutely non-negotiable additives that allow the magnets in EVs and missiles to work under extreme heat without just failing. And they are the single biggest bottleneck in the entire global supply chain. And just look at how this stacks up against their main US competitor, MP Materials. Now, MP is a great company, but it focuses on the light rare earths, and the market values it very, very highly. We're talking over 60 times its projected earnings. But in contrast, you've got USAR with its strategic focus on the much more critical heavy rare earths, and it's valued at a tiny fraction of that, less than 4 times its 2030 target. That enormous gap in valuation, that's where the whole opportunity lies. But hey, even the absolute best strategy has risks. So what was the real game changer for USA Rare Earth? Well, a new investor showed up, an investor with basically unlimited capital, the United States government. The Department of Commerce, using the CHIPS and Science Act, has proposed a $1.6 billion funding package for the company. Now, this isn't just a loan. It's basically a declaration from the government that USA rare earth is critical national infrastructure. So, what does this sovereign shield actually do for them? Well, we're talking about over $2.1 billion in total government-backed financing. But even more importantly, it includes a 15-year agreement for the government to buy their materials at a guaranteed minimum price. This completely neutralizes the company's biggest threat, that risk that China could just flood the market with cheap materials to kill off any new competition. For an investor, that entire risk has just been wiped off the board. So, with all the pieces now in place, we get to the final verdict. What is the actual investment dilemma here? What's the bottom line?
It really boils down to this. The potential reward is just immense. You're looking at a possible monopoly on the West's entire supply of heavy rare earths, becoming a true national champion, and just massive long-term upside. But the risks, they are very, very real. To fund all this, the company had to issue so much new stock that it diluted the value for existing shareholders. There's also extreme execution risk in building all this out. And frankly, scaling the new processing tech is a major technical hurdle.
But ultimately, the whole bull case comes right back to this simple chart. You've got established competitors valued by the market at 40, even 60 times their earnings. But USA Rare Earth, with its unique heavy rare earth monopoly and its government backing, is projected to trade at a value of less than 4 times its earnings. The argument is simply that the market hasn't woken up yet and priced in this company's massive transformation. So the assets are secure, the technology is in place, and the full financial backing of the US government is there. All that's left is execution. So the question remains, will this company become America's strategic champion in the global tech race, or will it become its most expensive industrial gamble? The world is definitely about to find out.